Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. As of late, a bunch of video game dev studios are adjusting their policies in-house for those who played their video games and how critics are treating their staff. And it's a rather interesting topic to see how far will they be able to go with this. I believe Riot Studios just put something out. If you say something nasty, naughty away from their platform, outside of their, I guess, enclosed environment on their chat in a Riot Studios game, if you say something nasty away from that, they can ban your account. It's a little bit overblown if you ask me, but hey, studio's gonna studio. But let's see what comes out lately, or newest. Lately? Whatever. Over here at That Park Place, Raven Redgrave writes, new Square Enix harassment policy could lead to legal action. Really? Against who? Against gamers. Company will go after fans for denial of personality. I read it a little bit, and I don't even know what the hell that means, but let's see what we have to say. Square Enix created a ton of controversy, because why not? We got to get people talking about your studio, with its new group customer harassment policy, with many seeing it as a threat to both the gaming community and the industry as a whole. Now, it is possible that this could set a rather insane precedent, perhaps for criticism, but I think, well, I guess we have to read to see what they consider harassment. It could be a very different view on what harassment is between us and them, us as the gamers and the critics, because we're a rather loud group, both gamers and critics, and what the studio considers harassment. What is the Square Enix Group customer harassment policy? It's a new measure taken by Square to combat what it deems unacceptable behavior. Again, according to who? What they deem as unacceptable versus, well, what gamers deem as unacceptable. What gamers consider unacceptable is, well, overcharging the customer, putting in slop, not putting out unfinished games. But you don't see us taking y'all to court, do you? The developer claims the policy will help with product improvement and quality. Really? Yeah, I know I said quality, but we're going to move on. How? What? Now, I'm definitely going to need an explanation on that. How can a policy against harassment, when, if the harassment is happening online, ignore it, block it, stay it off of social media. Don't, muffle the voices, silence the voices, get back to work, refocus on it. I made a video yesterday about what, talking about, I think it's Tim Reed, and devs don't know what players want, because players don't know what players want. Well, unfortunately, you have to sift through the nonsense to get to the legitimate, good faith criticism. If all you're going to do is make a blanket statement on what you consider to be harassment, well, that's going to be a rough start. It's going to be a rough going for you, for sure. Here's the quote. Square Enix believes that the feedback, comments, and requests received from our customers are essential to the advancement of our group's products and services. Therefore, we are committed to strive to apply your voice in improving our product and services, the Japanese developer said on the policy's official page. I probably should have gotten that official page. The quote continues. At the same time, there are instances where certain customers take actions directly. Don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that, but there are some out there who will take it to the next level. Don't do that. Not nice. Directly. Or through our support centers, or towards our group executives, employees, partners who are partners. That's an interesting verbiage there. People have been talking about that. Who are they talking about when it comes to partners? Some consultancy groups, perhaps, that show that they were consulting with Square Enix. Makes you wonder. Partners who are involved in the creation and distribution of our group products and services that constitute customer harassment. Okay, here's some examples, such as denial of personality. What? What exactly does that mean? Denial of personality. Maybe perhaps calling a trans woman a man. You're denying their personality. I'm sorry. Me personally, I don't give a toss what your personality is. That's who you are. You go take your personality and do whatever it is you want with it, but make a good game, and you won't hear anything from me. And more than likely, if you put out a good product, you're not going to hear anything from the gaming community as a whole. However, if you decide to take your personality and insert it in any way, shape, or form into your product when it doesn't feel like it belongs, and the game, the product itself, ends up being, well, to put it bluntly, utter and complete trash, well, that's when the gaming community is going to have something to say. And we're not nice about it. I'm sorry. When we dish out 50, 60, 70, even those foolish enough to give Ubisoft $120, and the game ends up being a big pile of steaming garbage full of bugs, falling through the ceiling, reverse gravity, ladies and gentlemen, falling through the terrain, AI that is more interested in hitting the broadside of a barn than finding you in the short 2-foot tall grass. Well, we have a problem with that, and we're going to be vocal about that. Now, violence. Don't do that. I'm pretty sure everyone on this side of the fence, this side of the argument, will denounce any sort of violence going towards any of these developers. Don't do that. We don't like it. It makes everyone fail. It makes everyone lose. Please. It goes without saying, right? Now, defamation, intimidation, those, I think those are, I believe, subjective. Defamation must be proven in a court of law. And intimidation, you can only be intimidated if you allow someone to intimidate you. I believe that would become a you problem. But what about cyberbullying? Cyberbullying is nonsense. Report it to the correct authorities if you feel in danger. Get people to pay attention, and perhaps that is something that needs to change as far as authoritative reaction to legitimate cyberbullying. But you block people. You ignore them. You point and you laugh at them. It's what I do. It's what others should do. Grow a skin. Advance notice of wrongdoing. I have no idea what that even means. Advance notice of obstruction of business. Ladies and gentlemen, we, the critics, the content creators, the ones who make the videos talking about the nonsense going on in the industry, in the entertainment industry, we are able to obstruct the business, the goings on inside these studios. We are that powerful. Pat yourself on the back, folks. Give yourself a star. Put it on your calendar. It is time to celebrate. Advance notice of obstruction of business. Business. I said it. I would like examples of that, personally. Harassment. Yeah, don't do that. Moving on. But that is, what do you consider harassment? Well, if you act a particular former Kotaku writer, failed cam girl, and unsufferable twat, well, harassment is someone making videos about the things that you say and the things that you do and the names that you call people. That is harassment. But, getting in touch with someone's wife, a content creator's wife, and sending them a message personally on Facebook to tell them what kind of husband they have, that, ladies and gentlemen, is not considered harassment. Right? But what do I know? Such actions do not only prevent our employees and partners from engaging in their work. How? Explain that to me. How does an online message, a video done by Smash JT or Hypnotic or Endymion, how does that stop a meme going around showing your ridiculousness to all the fans that just love to point and laugh at you? How on earth does that stop an employee, a partner, from engaging in their work with a sense of security? Yes. The words, they hurt me so much. I am afeared for my well-being because someone said a mean and foul and nasty thing on the internet. Grow up. Also causes disruption to other customers. Well, that is your problem. Maybe if you focused on making a good product, you wouldn't have to worry about said customers turning their backs on you and closing their wallets. Square Enix will not tolerate harassment and will take action as necessary. Well, I'd like to see you prove it, big boys. Now, in the case of actual harassment, legitimate harassment, and threats of violence, yes, I do firmly believe that legal action should be taken. Screenshots, hell, show them online for all of us to see so that we can police our own. Get them, because we don't like them on our side of the fence either. They are not contributing to what some see as the culture war at all. In fact, They're having a more negative effect, if anything, because, well, they make us all look bad. The policy acknowledged that, quote, feedback, comments, and requests are vital for improving products and services, except that you bottle us all up into a generalized statement of bigots, misogynists, man-babies, istophobes, all around, simply because we don't like a particular aspect, a lack of aesthetically pleasing characters in the game, or it's a masterpiece of buggy mess. You ignore us. You call us man-babies and gooners over and over again. One studio head after another, one department head after another, just slinging the insults and celebrating. We don't want your money. It's like, well, you're not going to get it when you act like that. However, it uses questionable terms such as the denial of personality and excessive pursuit or reprimand that suggests otherwise. I still not even 100% sure what denial of personality could even possibly mean. Anybody got a clue? Y'all let me know in the comment section, not the chat, the comment section down below. Hi, Steve. While protecting employees from legitimate threats like violence or stalking is essential, 100% agree, and I believe we all agree 100% on that. These subjective categories open the door to potential abuse, and I think they do this intentionally. They leave it subjective. They leave it open-ended and very generalized in order to let their little grubby little attorneys make their money and go after who they see. There's a lot of videos going around. A lot of content creators believe that this is yet one more attempt to silence critics. I have no intention of stopping doing what I'm doing. I made a promise to myself that I was going to call out the foolishness that I see out there, and regardless of what side of this little culture war you're on, if I think you said something silly, I'm going to say something. And I do thoroughly expect everyone to do the same to me, because if I say something, I'm human, I'm going to say something silly. I'm going to say something stupid. Or hell, we're far enough, something retarded. So call everyone out. Hold everyone to the same standards you hold yourself to. And I expect to be held to those standards. More of the quote, should Square Enix determine that an individual has engaged in an action against one of our employees or partners that exceeds socially acceptable behavior? Socially acceptable where? In the West? In Brazil? In Africa? In, well, how about Australia? In China? Oh, dearie, dearie my. Where socially acceptable? Because we have this nifty little thing called freedom of speech, where as long as you're not going out of your way, as long as you're not committing a crime and calling a person a twat or a retard, it's not a crime. Showing up on someone's doorstep, you're risking things in some states that you may not walk away safely. But committing an illegal act, yes, you should be held accountable. But making a video, making fun of someone, a former Kotaku writer, is not harassment. It's not illegal. It's criticism. Get over yourself. Moving on. Behavior acceptable or harmful. Blech, I mixed all that up. We reserve our right to cease providing support services. You do it once, and your sales will suffer for it. I can see it happening. Or to refrain from providing our group's products or services. Square goes on to say, this is another instance of you're not going to own your games and you are going to like it. This is simply nothing more than a promotion of, well, maybe sailing the high seas with Captain Jack Sparrow. The ability to shut down a customer's ability to ever be able to play their game. I can understand if in the sense with an online-only game, but I guess maybe, ladies and gentlemen, we go back to single-player games. There's so many. I've heard stories of people going back to the old days, Jesus Christ. I use that verbiage. Playing older games, older single-player games, games that do not require an online connection, which unfortunately we're getting more and more towards. Making single-player games require you to sign up for a Sony online account when you got the game through Steam. That's a little shady there. Or a single-player game, or that requires you to be online at all times. Otherwise, you can't play it. These are problems that can be solved easily by just not buying the games. How many gamers are going to follow through with that? We'll never know. Guess we'll just have to wait and see. Let's see. Providing our group's products and services. So we're going to shut down your ability to play the game that you paid for simply because we decided to change our terms of service. Square goes on to say, where such action is egregious or with malicious intent, what you consider egregious, Square Enix reserves the right to protect its employees and partners and to take legal action or criminal proceedings upon consulting the police and or lawyers. There are so many people out there that will read this and go, bring it, bitch. They look forward to these sort of battles, these sort of fights. Square Enix wants to try and make an example. The idea or the speculation that Square Enix is going to use this to silence criticism. Well, if that happens, the lawsuit against Square Enix would probably be astronomical, using words like class action, or possibly, maybe, perhaps, I'm not an attorney, but it's just the first thing that pops into my head. The idea to try and silence critics. Your department, regardless of its success or failure, would be blasted across the internet so fast it would make your head spin. I look forward to that attempt, that first attempt, because I believe we all know it's going to happen. Square Enix had made it clear it will, quote, cease providing support services. Well, perhaps some people, perhaps you should cease providing financial services to Square Enix. Perhaps that's a decision that needs to be made, but that's up to you. Spend your money how you wish, vote with your wallet. Cease providing support services to offenders and reserves the right to pursue legal action, bring it, bitch, or criminal proceedings. This heavy-handed approach shifts the dynamic between gamers and developers, replacing open dialogue with a chilling fear of reprisal or any form of dissent. Well, I have news for you, Raven. Perhaps you're being, I don't know, what's the word? Worst case scenario? But I don't believe there's a critic out there on YouTube with any stone's worth between their legs that is even remotely scared of criticizing Square Enix or any developing studio out there, any video game developer, whatever any parts of the entertainment industry. The criticism will not stop. It will continue until morale and stories improve. What does this mean for critics? It means absolutely nothing. Do not let yourself be silenced in any way, shape, or form. Don't be a dipstick, of course. Do not threaten physical harm because that's bad. Borderline illegal. Do not make those threats. Do not make those comments. Stay away from those. And I do believe we'll be doing just fine. By creating this new policy, Square Enix can now declare anything as harassment. But I believe they have to prove it a little bit better than that. If they go on a banning spree in their video game simply because a critic out there said something that Square Enix just doesn't like and it hurt their feelings, and they start dropping accounts, banning accounts, shutting them down, you'll hear it. And the gamers will respond in kind. In doing so, Square can, in theory, press charges against critics under the claim of harassment, but you would have to prove it in a court of law. Square Enix's new measure reflecting a growing trend among corporations adopting diversity, equity, and inclusion. I believe it's diversity, inclusion, and equity because that's what it does to your game. Policies that seem less about inclusivity and more about corporate image control. These policies often conflate genuine criticism with harassment. That's because these people have thin skins and can't take criticism. Oh no, he didn't like my game. He said something bad about me. That's harassment. No, dear. No, that's criticism. Learn it. That's all. What this mean for gaming? Well, if they follow through and they actually succeed in shutting critics down, that's bad for gaming as a whole. Period. No ifs, no ands, no buts. Criticism is necessary across the entertainment industry. It is necessary. It is necessary for improvement. It is necessary for studios across the board to know what people like, what people don't like, where they can improve, where they cannot improve, or where they don't need to improve. It is 100% necessary. Should not be silenced. I am interested to see what Sid Alpha says about this. I'll be looking forward to that, but that's all I've got to say on this. I will share a link to the full article. Go ahead and give that Park Place a view. They do a lot of the heavy lifting, just like John F. Trent, and just across the board, all these guys. putting things in a nice condensed place where idiots like me can give our opinions on it without going through 15 different websites and Twitter posts. But thank you, Raven. Thank you for your opinion. I do love this article. What do y'all think about this policy? What do y'all think about these multitude of studios going down this route? Do you believe it's an effort to silence critics, or do you believe it's a genuine effort to get, well, the genuine bad actors and get them out of, I guess, get them out of the environment? Because I'm in favor of that. Don't go threatening people. Don't show up on people's doorsteps. Don't go sending messages to people's significant others. Don't do death threat memes. I know some will consider it a joke, but those are jokes until they're not. Keep that in mind. But let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Leave a like, leave a dislike, do all those nifty little things that YouTube is begging you to do. And I hope to see you on the next one.